And welcome to Chart of the Day Cafe for Tuesday, November 8th, 2016. Just going to read our disclaimer quickly. Trading stocks is a high level of risk and viewers should complete their own due diligence on any stock or underlying that they intend to own. 100% of the content of this video and communique is intended for journalistic and educational purposes only. This video and all indicators, strategies, and articles herein should not be construed as investment advice. Thank you for your patience with that. And oh my gosh, here we are at this Tuesday, November 8th, election day in the U.S. I'm in Canada and the suspense is killing me, so I can't even imagine what it must be like to be living in the U.S. and going through these next couple of days. I wish everyone well. So we're not going to put any fresh charts forward because of the uncertainty in the market surrounding these next few days. Pardon me. But we will take a little bit more comprehensive look at some of the bigger charts again, just to review and remind ourselves of where we are right here, right now. So we always start our videos off with a look at the Russell Index, and for that we use the IWM, which is the ETF that represents the Russell 2000, and we step back to take a look at it on a 5-year monthly time frame. We were paying particular attention to this blue channel that the Russell traded within through all of 2014. So we've been doing these videos now for several years. This channel was very important back then. It had this little breakout up and out in early 15, hit this upper blue line, sold off substantially, and then price strength came back in, bringing us right back up into this area. So this area is clearly very important to the Russell. Here's the candle for the month of September, monthly candle, October, and here we are for November. This wedge is proving to be pretty important. So let me move it away from the 5-year monthly to the 2-year weekly so we can better see how price is behaving here. Look where price landed the other day, right on our blue line. I have not moved this blue line for, gosh, I'm going to say at least a year, if not 2. It just stays steady, and I can't believe the way the Russell bounced right off of it yesterday. And here's that black line, the trend line that we put in several weeks ago, saying if the Russell is going to continue to show price strength and make a move to move higher than this blue shaded area, reminder, this is the area of resistance going back to 2015, it's going to have to get through our black trend line first. So this wedge shaping up here is very important. I'm going to move it away from the weekly to the daily so you can see, wow, what a strong day we had yesterday. But you want to note the gap. So it gapped up off the open, creating this hole in price, this gap in price. And that is always a little tricky. Gaps normally get filled, so you want to be aware of that. Coming into our black trend line, it'll be interesting to see how price behaves in the next few days, but this is the closer view of the Russell. Let me show you the Dow. So it broke out of our little wedge on the Dow, and again it gapped, but had a very strong day. S&P, same thing. Gap, it's still within the wedge, but very strong day. And the two sectors that we have been paying particular attention to, banking, strong day, but is coming into this area of prior resistance on the daily chart, important to note. So these are the transports and the banking sector are the ones we've been really keeping a close eye on. This orange line on the banking sector is an important area of support that goes back a long, long, long way. So we want to make sure that in the days ahead we pay attention to this orange area. Should there be a little bit of price weakness coming in, this area is going to be important. But so far, looking good. Transports broke out of our little wedge. As a reminder, I'm going to move it back to the 2-year weekly. Actually, let's go back and take a look at it on the bigger time frame. So let's go 10-year quarterly. We had it trading in this big wedge. This is that area that is so important, this orange line. Now, here's the candle for January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September. Trying to break out of our wedge, and this quarter it has. The quarter still has, we still have quite a bit of time left in the quarter, so it'll be interesting to see how this candle shapes up in the end, but so far we are out of this wedge and showing that price strength. So that's the quarterly. Let's go to the 5-year monthly to take a look. I hope this is not too repetitive, but I think it's really important. So here we are on the monthly, and this is this minor little mini wedge we've been keeping an eye on. So very strong area of support here, and this little orange line in here. Going to move it away from the 5-year monthly to the 2-year weekly. As a reminder, here's that big strong area of support. Notice the transports, how they traded up and over, and then they came into this little wedgie pattern here, had this breakout of the larger wedge, and then yesterday we had a breakout of this smaller wedge in here. So we're looking at the weekly chart. Here's the daily. So this wedge is important to the transports. We'll see in the days ahead how it behaves around this area, but strong bar yesterday. So those are areas of price strength. These are the things that I'm keeping an eye on the flip side of the equation. So we've got price strength over here in banking and transports, but I keep looking at TLT, and it's making me suspicious, I'm just going to say. So here is the monthly chart for TLT. So TLT is the long bond in the U.S. Lehman Brothers, I think it's Lehman Brothers long bond. You can take a look it up. But trading in this wedge, coming into this area of support down here, I think this is a very important area. I had a more minor area of support drawn in here. It blew through it, and it's resting down here. If it starts to perk up, then it is going to be looking to trade out of this wedge. And I've got my little green circle as to where I would project price big might, start to gravitate towards on this chart should it start to break out of this wedge, which would mean there might be some uncertainty in the market. So I'm keeping an eye on this, and it would be a brand new high for this particular ETF. Let's go back 10 years so you can get a better look, but you can see that it's never been higher. Here's the wedge, here's the area, and now let's take a look at it on the 9-month. When candles get really teeny tiny like this around these important areas, I'm going to take this away just because it's a bit confusing. I think that starts to get pretty interesting. So keeping a close eye on TLT here. I'm mentioning it because if it starts to perk up, there might be some price weakness coming into the market as money floats to areas of safety. And then we were keeping an eye on the US dollar. Sorry if this video is getting a little long. I'm amazed it bounced off my blue line yesterday. It'll be interesting to see what happens to the dollar in the days ahead. But as a reminder, to your weekly chart, this chart, at least to me in my eyes, looks bullish for the US dollar. So I want to see how the dollar trades in this area here on the weekly. It consolidated down here. It lifted up and over my blue channel, and now it may be contained by this pink longer term trend line, but it's getting into that area where should we get a strong bar this week, it might take a run at this pink line. We will see. Anything can happen. I don't know. This is just my own homework, but to me, this blue line was important, and it bounced off of it, so we'll keep an eye on the US dollar. And then the third one, we mentioned this a few weeks ago, is the junk bond market, JNK. And to me, you want to keep an eye on this one a little bit in this area just because it reflects the credit markets overall and the health there. So we looked at this one quarterly. Let's go back 10 years. And let's go quarterly. Here we are in this area that provided resistance through 2014, 2015. We sold off. We're right up in that area here again. Volume is pretty amazing, having said that. But you want to be aware that we're at this area of resistance, and now I'm going to pull it into the smaller time frame. Monthly, 2-year monthly. So we had a candle that suggested a little bit of a stall in price action at this very important orange line. And here is where we are right here, right now. There may be a little bit of a head and shoulders pattern shaping up here at this very important area. So that's why I think it's important to keep an eye on. So I'm going to go 9 month. You can see shoulder, head, shoulder. It's better, it's easier to see on the weekly. So shoulder, head, shoulder. If this starts to move lower. If. We don't know, that's a big if, but keeping an eye. So those are the things that I think are worth paying attention to, and what I will be watching in the days to come. Thanks very much, and we'll see you Thursday. Have a great next couple of days.